This video is sponsored by War Thunder. It can't just be me that gets a wave of nostalgia rushing over them whenever they hear this intro to Black Ops 1, right? This game was my childhood. So many hours put into it. This is still the most unique and coolest menu screens of any of the COD games, and honestly, just games in general. Immersing us in the campaign from the start, and also just being overall different in its presentation, coupled with being able to break out and play on the computer behind us. It's all just so good. I've missed the different arts of the difficulty levels.
Wake up.
So seamlessly, we are tossed into the campaign and realize that this isn't just some cool menu.
Where am I? Where's Reznov?
Mason's first concern is Reznov. I mean, I can't blame him. Reznov is a Chad, but Mason's consistency and his brainwashing at all levels of the game is so well done. From the macro to the micro, you can see the effects of what he went through in Vorkuta throughout the entire game. And for the people that played World at War, our first thoughts were like, what? The Victor Reznov? And we were buckling our seatbelts.
What's your name?
Fuck you!
I'm gonna start responding to people like that when I know they are not gonna be in my life much longer.
Where were you born?
Kiss my ass!
That feels weird, but I'll allow it.
Something I wouldn't have even thought about. They've got a mic in there for Mason. It couldn't have been on the table and I just would have assumed the room was tapped, but this is the 1960s. Tech is still kind of big.
Cuba, 1961, the Bay of Pigs. We know you were there.
Man, remember when COD campaigns were seated in real history? It was always a treat to have us take part in the not-so-distant past with the COD spin. I'm not alone when I say some of these campaigns got me more interested in history to go down on my own research and learn about these events. And if playing Call of Duty got you interested in history, then there's no better game to play than War Thunder. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicular combat game ever created, now on mobile. What? It's basically on everything now. PlayStation, Xbox, PC, it's awesome. There are over 2,500 different tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships of 10 major nations spanning 100 years of military history. It doesn't get more realistic than War Thunder. Between the incredibly detailed vehicles and authentic sound effects, you feel like you yourself are on the battlefield. Something that I've always loved about War Thunder is the way they handle player damage. There's no HP. Instead, damage to individual vehicle components and crew members can die. If your driver dies, but your tank is still operational, get ready for Custer's last stand. What blows my mind is that Gaijin has managed to get this incredible game on mobile. Imagine having the most intense tank battle while commuting through possibly an even more intense one. NYC Subway. I'm talking about the NYC Subway. And since you won't be at your PC battle station during this, War Thunder has a litany of different game modes. Super immersive simulation levels of combat, or a more laid-back arcade experience with leniency on the little things like having to personally judge distance and know where a vehicle's armor is thin. Join a worldwide community of over 70 million players in epic PvP battles today and delve into the breathtaking experience that is War Thunder. There's simply no better game better suited for fans of military history, such as myself. War Thunder is available for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and mobile. Make sure to use my links in the pinned comment or description to get your massive bonus pack with 7 days of premium, 100k Silver Lions, vehicle customization, and more. Only for new and returning players who've not played in the last 6 months, barring mobile. What are you waiting for? Crew up your vehicle, and I'll see you on the battlefield. These cinematics as we prelude to each mission are so artfully done and packed full of pertinent information. I like to view these as Mason racking his brain to remember these moments, and it's all just so scrambled, hence the numbers, the quick cutting, and misplaced info, or things that weren't even there.
The numbers, Mason. What do they mean?
And a meme was born. All of the missions with Op 40 are classified. It's a small thing, but constantly having the important info blacked out just makes us feel cooler.
Be cool, Woods. Wait.
A little line that made me first think he was trying to tell Woods not to do anything hasty, but he was actually helping him wait for the opportune moment to strike since the soldier was in his blind spot. Goes to show the trust and history these two men share.
Say about the bar, Carlo.
How nice of Woods to apologize. COD has never really done realistic gun sounds until Modern Warfare 2019. I always kind of enjoyed the more liberty taken with the gun sounds, or laziness if you're a cynic, as it gave each of the guns their own personality. When using the Galil, I loved the super metallic sound, or the AK-74U's more woody pitter-patter. And though these earlier games took themselves more seriously, it's still a COD game. And Track wastes no time getting us to the killing explosions we come for.
You were heading for Castro's compound, man. We're loose again. Do it again. We have no choice.
Now that's a sweet way to really ground this storytelling device and give a canon reason as to why we are skipping ahead. It saves time on menial traveling and keeps the pace up. and goes a long way to remind us everything we are hearing and seeing is coming from Mason's experiences, which plays a big role with Reznov. Man, Castro was still alive when they created this game. Remember back in the days when COD didn't give a fuck? This led to some backlash, but after No Russian, I doubt Treyarch was really concerned about this. Get you a woman this loyal. I appreciate Woods' little fuck you shots. Showing character through gameplay is always welcome. And Woods is a badass, just nonchalantly shooting through the door to kill some guys. It's not a COD game without your on-rails turret section.
I hear you, Bowman.
There's not enough time for takeoff!
I'll deal with it.
Mason is the man. Get you a friend like Mason.
You killed a double. You think we didn't know of your plan?
Yeah, Castro did know that the Bay of Pigs invasion was coming. The funniest part is that Castro found out about the invasion because of a New York Times article in the newspaper. JFK even said, Castro doesn't need agents over here. All he's got to do is read our papers. That was just one of the many dominoes that made the Bay of Pigs a disaster. This is so cool. The Cold War didn't happen that long ago, and it happened at a time where we could actually record decent quality footage. Treyarch using the footage, I think, is brilliant, as it reminds us that all of these horrors of war actually happened. This isn't just a game in some made-up timeline, but a fictional story and a real-life moment of terror.
A labor camp. Oh, a hellhole called Vorkuta.
Vorkuta was actually a real-life labor camp in Russia. The more you know.
Think, Mason. What did they do to you?
I've given up hope of ever getting out. But Viktor Reznov found a way.
I love that they're pressing Mason about the facts, and he can't move on from what he had endured. PTSD is a son of a bitch that gets disregarded far too often. And of course, it's Reznov that makes Mason finally come to.
Viktor Reznov.
My friend.
You'll notice many times that Reznov is on screen, Mason will start hearing the numbers. His brainwashing is in constant battle with itself. And thus begins the super neat Easter egg of the designates. I don't know what else to call it. If you take the first letter and apply it with the NATO alphabet for each mission, starting here, where his brainwashing started, it spells out Reznov is dead. Like, damn, where did the passion go creating these games? And I know where. Burnout was one hell of a thing to deal with creatively. Being stuck doing similar content on a regimented schedule that you can't really break out of, otherwise you lose your living, can be hard sometimes. I understand that feeling to a degree, but I'm lucky enough to have Step A, if you know what I mean. Game developers are constantly doing unpaid overtime, dealing with terrible work conditions, and being undervalued all the time. It's no way to live, and it's not fair. I'm very pleased that in recent times we've been raising awareness and securing the keys to fixing these problems.
Mason, every journey begins with a single step. This is step one!
Gary Oldman kills that as Reznov. I don't care if his accent isn't perfect. The amount of conviction he puts into everything he says would make me follow him into the pits of hell. Sergey just had to be a badass, didn't he?
Reznov, your men must know this is suicide.
Victory cannot be achieved without sacrifice, Mason. We Russians know this better than anyone.
That's just a hard-ass line. Over 20 million Russians died in World War II. One of the hardest stories from the time was the Russians didn't have enough weapons to outfit everyone. So they'd send their men in lines with the one in front carrying the gun. He died, the next one would pick it up, and so on. And this also resonates because Reznov sacrifices himself to save Mason, but also sacrifices Mason's mind to get his revenge. Sometimes the score goes off in COD games, and this is one of those moments. You can't tell me you didn't feel empowered as hell fighting your way out to this music. Sergey's a beast. Ain't nothing like the death machine.
They wanted you to kill him.
Yeah. There were others. Others I was supposed to kill.
JFK murder shadowing. God damn, does this riff go off.
I felt like everyone was watching us.
You could say soap counts, but not as much as this. Mason was the first time in a COD game that they really went all in on our playable characters being actual characters with motivations and arc. And I'm glad Treyarch did this, as it made the story 10 times more engaging.
And watching me.
Who hears that riff and is brought back to the menu screen of this game's multiplayer?
Step 2. Ascend from darkness.
This step rings in his head as he's walking down to the Pentagon levels. My brain reads that his programming is telling him that he's willingly walking back into another prison, as Reznov would put it, with a different flag, which is why this step comes to mind.
Step 3.
Rainfire.
And step 3, Rainfire, is him killing JFK.
You were getting close to your objective. It was working.
So Hudson had known about his programming the entire time, and this is just our first hint of that. Notice that as we get closer to JFK, Mason starts hearing the numbers again. Just all this little attention to detail that had never really been seen before in a COD campaign is really what makes this one special.
Agent Mason,
Great honor, Mr. President.
sit.
Why am I so hyped for a cameo of someone doing an impression of a dead guy? JFK just got that much clout to him, I guess. Notice the scenes on the TVs. As the scene slows, they're showing pictures in newspapers about Lee Harvey Oswald, the assassination, and JFK's funeral. This used to creep me out so much back in the day. Honestly, the entire game kind of gave me the creeps back when I was a kid. And since we don't know what the hell is going on, this just raises so many questions and helps get us more invested.
Was saving Weaver more important to you than your objective to kill Dragovich?
Weaver was Russian. He was alright.
There's some more of the Reznov speaking.
Now you had to locate the Ascension group and kill the scientists.
No. I had to kill Dragovich.
Having the US task Mason with killing Dragovich is some grade A misdirection, as we think he's just being a jolly old patriot, but in reality it's all about Reznov's revenge.
What about your CIA handler, Hudson? Was he in K-Zone?
That coming from Hudson himself in the third person is great. A lot of this interrogation is about finding out if they can trust Mason, on top of finding the broadcast station. And testing Mason's thoughts about himself is a good place to start.
When it arrives, we read it, pull out that record, and play.
We're in Nam, baby. The hell else you expect other than some CCR? Say what you will about wars around this world, but you can't deny not one had a better soundtrack than Nam. It's a joke. Jokes. We're all jokes here. But damn, what a song to become so linked with one of the biggest failures of any US military campaign. It's almost prophetic. Ever heard of an anti-war song become so ubiquitous that it's used in a way to almost glamorize and make light of the conflict? Make it feel like, ah, yeah, Nam, a great time with bros and helicopters, fighting with some kick-ass music. At least, that's what it felt like growing up to me, as I'm only 21. This was a big sentiment that me and a lot of my friends took away from class and the anecdotal knowledge that we gained. Long story short, US history class sucks and is more biased than me trying to find wins for Halo 4. With that said, it's a wonderful tribute to the actual troops that fought in Vietnam, and I'm so grateful for all of our men and women that throw themselves into service so I can make silly videos about games.
Jason Hudson, CIA. Thank you for your time, Sergeant.
I love the through line in every piece of media that I've ever experienced that no one likes the feds.
Get a move!
And though we don't like the CIA, Woods is still a man to help any of his brothers.
Jason Hudson, CIA. We're here to talk about your encounter with Russians in Laos.
Even Bowman isn't a fan. Dragon's Breath Spaz 12? Yes, sir. You'll notice behind Reznov is the dead defector. And a lot of the times when Reznov is around in a cutscene, Woods just disappears with nothing to say. There are so many hints that Reznov isn't there, but Treyarch walks the line so perfectly that you can miss it so easily.
Are these your men?
Woods, Bowman.
I am Reznov.
Victor! What took you so long, Mason?
And they don't reply to Reznov and just carry on why the fuck Mason was lacking. Anyone else miss how distinct COD guns used to be? It was especially bad in futuristic games, as most guns all felt so similar with no identity. Commando, Galil, AK, M16, all with such distinct silhouettes and sounds.
Get in!
Dragovich.
Throw back!
If you notice and pay attention, Reznov disappears, but once you turn around on the boat, you see him jumping. I won't keep pointing out every time he teleports, but it's often in a great detail some attentive players might notice. You'll notice before every mission, we get a close-up on who we'll be controlling. It's not necessary, as they do a great job in other ways to not let us get confused on who we're controlling, but it's nice. When I was a kid with Modern Warfare 2, I'd get so lost in who I was playing sometimes.
Or you can give us what we want and we guarantee your safety.
The only hint that the interrogator is Hudson, beyond his rolled-up sleeves, but you really gotta look for that one. This line is one he uses with Mason earlier. Now, Kowloon Walled City might be one of the most interesting places that have existed in the world to me. I don't know why, but I've gone down many rabbit holes and lost many nights of sleep just researching about it. Look it up. I promise you won't be disappointed. With that said, the verticality of Kowloon is something new for COD and a welcome change to level design. This mission walked so die rats could run, even if that map was straight up cheeks. The G11 is such a weird gun, and I love it. Even though the gun never was actually used in the Cold War and only 1,000 of them were produced, this is what makes games so fun, because developers can bring these prototypes into the game and we can play make-believe with these weapons.
Dragovich is second in command. Kravchenko tests it in Vietnam. On them, On us? On his own? He doesn't care.
I know Nova 6 was in Vietnam, but I don't recall it ever actually being tested there, so I think this is Reznov and Mason both talking and mixing their two brains together. The gas was used on us and their own men, but years prior in the Arctic, not in Nam.
My father was a musician in Stalingrad. During the German occupation, the sound of his violin filled the air with...
Now begins one of the best performances I've ever seen from Gary Oldman. The entire monologue over the mission is just badass, and we finally get the quote of the juiciest delivery of men that I've ever heard. That was pretty bad, but you got me. This mission doesn't add on to the Reznov is dead through line, as we aren't playing as Mason.
They are waiting.
Victor, it is time.
Yes, Dmitri.
Oh damn, it's our boy Dmitri, the badass that we played as in World at War.
We were no strangers to cold, but even now, the blood in my veins chills when I think back to the events of that day.
Now, that's just some great writing. I don't even think I need to explain why. It really goes to show how much Dmitri meant to him and how horrible the men that must die are. Many times in COD games, the devs will throw in one extra that just looks petrified, such as this boy here. It's that little bit of detail that reminds us that these men are human and that they've had to endure what our men and women in real life have had to. Maybe I'm just uneducated on future COD campaigns because I stopped playing them after Black Ops 2. But as far as I know, after Black Ops 2 was the last remnant of COD paying respects to the horrors of war. I know Model for 2019 is like Spec Ops The Line, Light, and we will get there eventually, so subscribe if you want to see me play those games and compare.
But Stalin had little need for heroes.
I mean, can you blame him? His mother most likely punished him severely.
We need Steiner alive!
And everyone collectively made sure to put a sh on Steiner. I missed the memo because I think I'm cool. Steiner, Steiner, Steiner. Damn, is the novelty of using World War II weapons just for this one mission so cool. I know they already had all the assets from World at War, but that doesn't take away that they did it just for us. Using the potato nades, Panzer Shrek was so freaking cool for this one off. And I'm kind of glad they didn't shoehorn them into the multiplayer since they had them, because this was when COD cared about what was new and not cashing in on the past. Yes, I know some of the guns made into zombies, but not the multiplayer. And I gotta just say, the PPSH of Black Ops 1 is my favorite iteration of it, and feels great to shoot. I love seeing the cases just fly out of this gun. Keeping in line with the same themes from World at War, the Russians have no sympathy for any of the Nazis and mow down even the ones surrendering, and Reznov basically cheers them on. Damn, does the sound of the MP40 bring me back. All the days of playing Kino and rushing for that gun. Ugh, replaying this game has really made me remember and cherish my childhood. Those sleepless nights of playing zombies. I feel so lucky to have got to experience this masterpiece of a game before the industry evolved into what it's become today. I know I keep harping on back in the day, but damn. Do you remember back in the day, a game didn't fret about putting the Nazi symbol in the games? Didn't have to put a disclaimer for the campaign based on World War II? I hope you all remember it because that's our history, and trying to forget it and water it down is a disservice to everyone that fought and defended us from that regime. This death really cements us with Reznov's fervor. We were Dmitri, all of World at War, and to see him die so unceremoniously after all he had done just hurts. These snowy transitions are cool. That is all. No analysis on how it perfectly encapsulates the Arctic mission where he got his heart torn out, how he felt so cold after Dmitri's death, and how his Russian heritage helps him deal with the cold. Damn it, I did it anyways.
The flag may be different, but the methods are the same.
God damn, I love that line. It really makes you think about everything in this context.
They will use you as they used me.
And I love the irony that Reznov is spitting right now. He's no better than them really because he's just like them. He programmed Mason and used him, just like Dragovich did, subservient to his own flag than Russia.
Dragovich, Kravchenko, Steiner. These men must die.
Never gets old.
Okay, what the f***? I knew Mason calling Hudson and Ice Cube was funny and all, but I just learned that Bozeman was voiced by the Ice Cube. And I just find that funny. Who knew that he was actually like a good voice actor? I looked up who voiced him and I was just so surprised. And I just wanted to know what voice was behind this sexy ass man. And it's fucking Ice Cube. The guy that voices Bowman is the same guy that said this shit.
Stop f***ing Korean G.
Mason is such a hard ass, he can just stab on the opposite side of the heart and still kill you instantly.
Someone drop a nade in the hole!
I do appreciate the dedication to trying to replicate the Viet Cong times. Not nearly as in depth and nutty as they really were, but it was 2010, so I'll cut him some slack.
Alright, but move quietly. What the f wrong with you?
Probably the biggest hint that Mason is a little nuts.
Mason, you gotta keep your
I guess you could say Swift wasn't fast enough.
Where are you, Woods?
It doesn't exactly line up thematically. I guess Mason was finding freedom from the tunnel, but even that feels like a stretch. My point is that this track goes so hard.
No, he's my friend. He helped me escape.
Remember when Sam Worthington was about to be the next big thing in Hollywood? That was a weird time. But I really like his performance as Mason. He's solid, and I've never understood the hate around him.
The world is on the brink of war!
Whose war?
Reznov really got to him, and that's a big question and conversation topic I hear come up a lot of the time. When I talk to people I know and the subject of service comes up, I constantly hear, I don't want to fight another man's war. What's your thoughts on this? This couldn't be a game in Vietnam without the Rolling Stones, could it? And hey, look at this. The on-rails turret sections are evolving to give us more agency as the player.
I swear to God that Woods was crying. But he never let us see no tears.
Let's normalize crying. I cry all the time. It's one of the best feelings in the world to just let it all out. The SR-71 is like the symbol of the Cold War. Not really, but you know what I mean. It's one of the sexiest planes to have ever been made. And the fact that they went so fast, the metal got stretched. Ugh, that's so cool. Am I winning an effective plane design? Yeah, I am. So, deal. Hey, who said COD is formulaic? This is some neat, gimmicky RTS gameplay that was enough for me to not get bored.
Roger that, big eye.
And going from the Blackbird to on the ground where you're watching is cool. You can't say it's not.
Halt. Don't move.
COD without a small stealth mission is no COD at all. This is just badass, okay? Isn't this what the core of a COD campaign is supposed to be? Weaver would make a good photographer. Take a lot of photos and you're guaranteed to at least get one good one.
Dragovich is fully weaponized and deployed Nova 6. He has sleeper cell agents all over the U.S. just waiting for the signal to release.
Been invaded.
The U.S. was invaded decades ago, Mason.
The Cold War was really a war of intelligence and spying, and I love how much Black Ops lead into that.
No talk.
One chance, Mason. We'll take it. Okay.
That's the hardest shit I've ever heard.
Bang! You can't kill me.
And that's when Woods solidified himself as one of the best characters in COD. He was willing to blow his brains out to give Mason a better chance of having the bullet lined up in the cylinder.
This time, do it.
Inline.
Ready.
6 and 8 o'clock.
Like I mentioned earlier, the trust between these two men and being able to communicate and get shit done is just awesome. Yeah, Soap and Price got that too, but I think there's something about the grittiness and presentation of Black Ops that makes me connect with this duo more.
You see that hind? We're gonna take it.
Mason, what the f*** are you doing?
More hints to Mason being a whack job.
Woods!
Rip, but not actually Rip Woods.
You're okay.
Are you okay?
Woods fake out.
Dragovich, Kravchenko, Steiner, they all had to die.
The twist of the brainwashing is so well done again. All the hints are there for us to figure it out before it's revealed, and that's the linchpin between a good and a bad plot twist. Just a little way to raise the tension. The DEFCON levels have been dropping throughout the entire campaign in these cutscenes.
Victor Reznov?
Wanted the same thing.
Should I win it again, or am I getting annoying, y'all? I don't care. This story is simple and straightforward, but told masterfully well. It's honestly a masterclass in my favorite way to tell stories. Keep things simple and execute it well. For a second, it looks like Reznov just entered the frame, and we are still looking through Mason's eyes. But then the camera begins to tilt to a more second-person point of view. This is camera work from people that cared and understood the language of film. Through these movements, it's literally telling us that Reznov is not there, and it's just a chef's kiss.
You're lying, Mason. You killed Steiner. We know you did.
Reznov got exactly what he wanted. Revenge.
The emptiness in that delivery speaks like Mason knows that he's brainwashed and just can't accept it yet. Sam Worthington is a good actor, I f***ing swear. I gotta say, this thermal is the worst shit I've ever seen. But I can only imagine it's accurate to the times, so there you go, Treyarch. I like the little Nova Mask pseudo health bar. Adds a little extra tension to this penultimate mission as that bitch don't regenerate.
Stand up!
My name is Victor Reznov!
And now we get the reveal that Hudson knew what was going on the entire interrogation. I'd be lying if I said the first time I played around, this didn't blow my mind.
Mason, my friend, tell me, what is left to believe in when you are betrayed by your own?
That That's exactly the question Mason must face, as he was essentially betrayed by Reznov, used as a puppet for his own revenge. 2 big dick reveals after another, with Hudson being the interrogator. I find it so interesting that they have a 5-minute sequence and people still don't understand this twist. But hey, who am I to judge? It's a little drawn out, but it's an awesome twist that really elevates the entire story. A plot twist must recontextualize everything that has come before to be a successful one, and Black Ops 1 achieves that in spades.
Cuba.
It's cheesy and goofy as hell, but after all that has just happened, I can't even be mad about it. Mason called that motherfucker Ice Cube after all. This is the clearest picture we've seen of Mason, and it really shows that he's mostly broken through his programming.
Tried to make me kill my own president. Tried.
That's f***ing awesome. More on this in a second.
We won.
For now.
We get this cheesy ass music to America winning and being great, and it's fitting only because of what happens next. Nothing is so simple, and I love that since the bad guy was defeated, we think everything is okay, which is never the case in real life.
Ascension.
During this ending, we hear Mason describing the bullet caliber used to kill JFK, the location, and then this image of him right before Kennedy took his last ride. Treyarch not giving 2 f***s and saying that their man Mason couldn't fight his program and helped assassinate JFK is just bonkers to me. That, alongside the prevailing conspiracy that there were 2 shooters and not just Oswald, makes this so much cooler. It's a dark and sad ass ending that we can only interpret, as Treyarch doesn't really pull this thread anymore in Black Ops 2, but it's still crazy and awesome nonetheless. So Black Ops 1, probably my second favorite COD campaign of all, right behind Black Ops 2. I love the setting, the characters, and having a fully fleshed out protagonist is just awesome. Plus the added bonus of this being set during a very well recorded time in history is just icing on the cake. I was thinking about touching on zombies and talking about them throughout the games as I go on, but I wasn't too sure about it. Would you guys like me to talk about that as we go through these Call of Duty games? Let me know down below. Treyarch has stuck to an uncompromising style with their COD games up to this point. Each of their logo intros staying in line with that fast-cutting edit style. And we're teased in these opening credits that Black Ops 2 will be taking place across 2 separate timelines. We get a big old display of military force, making us expect we're about to go take down or confront some antagonist. Gets us asking questions and wondering what's going on.
Safety's on, dip.
Only to be greeted by some old man showing Harper up with his experience.
Was Roman in this here today?
Sergeant Woods.
And for those like me who didn't pick it up right away, we get the awesome reveal that Woods is alive somehow! Just the mere sight of the pendant brings Sachin back to that traumatic day. All it takes is one little trigger for PTSD. A really important topic that COD doesn't address too often.
You boys better get your shit together.
And let me just toss one on for David having a similar haircut to his father.
Dad, you said you'd never go back to the army. You promised me.
Not even seconds before, he was whining about him going back, and now it's like, oh no, don't go. This is a reference to how kids have no idea what they want and how to control their emotions. Black Ops 2 lets us pick our loadouts before each mission. It's a nice little bit of customization that makes each mission a bit more fun, since I don't have to be stuck with some ass kit like an SMR or S12.
All by hand. Our dog in the fight. This guy named Jonas Savimbi.
Jonas Savimbi, one of the 2 actual people that was placed in Black Ops 2. Little things like this were what kept some great interest in older COD campaigns, when we could actually relate some of what was going on to our actual history. The first thing we see when we actually get into mission is a man burning alive. There's some connective tissue about being burned alive with this first shot and in the ending you can get, i.e. the one I got. Bookends.
The fire finished him. Sometimes it's too late to save a man.
Just like how no matter what we do, Menendez will always be our antagonist, and not come around.
Here they come! Here they come, my brothers! Fight, my brothers!
Man, Savimbi's presence alone would be enough to make me charge into the lion's den. The cross-cutting between the 2 timelines is one of my favorite parts of Black Ops 2. Something I didn't see coming, as all of the marketing about this game was being a true futuristic COD. And plus, just using so much of the weaponry in the updated Infinity Ward engine was great to see. Amazed, Treyarch didn't put some of these weapons in the main multiplayer, as they had already bothered to update them and put them in zombies and the campaign. But glad, so our roster could focus on the new weapons introduced.
Mason, stray fire took out the chopper gun.
Savimbi only needs one hand to absolutely decimate this dude. At the time, I was loving playing every Call of Duty campaign yearly, and I remember seeing all these models running and being blown away by the increasing scale these games kept offering with each installment.
Our journey to victory has begun! Death to the MPLA!
If it wasn't for these flashbacks, the entire story wouldn't have a root in history. But since they are here, we get a little bit about the Angolian Civil War, and I'll take a little over nothing. Plus, I got to have a reason to learn about Savimbi, and that dude was pretty nuts, surviving 6 assassination attempts and being reported dead 15 times. And in the end, the man went down shooting.
Keep firing those damn gunboats!
Are you sure you didn't mean to say,
Take out those PT bombs! Frank! It's me.
if anyone's worthy of a little guitar riff, it's Frank Woods. If you're pulling someone from the water, this is the actual best way to do it. Black Ops 2 reminds us of the sad reality that child soldiers are a real and constant thing that happens in these type of wars. How'd the kid not see us? Well, he's probably having the worst few weeks of his life right now, and not really focused on anything other than surviving.
Stay low, keep your head down.
COD 4 really started something with all gillied up. Pretty much every subsequent COD has had stealth missions, and Black Ops 2 has 2 of them this time around. The access containers were a neat little addition to the gameplay. 1, reinforces the goal of Black Ops 2, which was player choice, and 2, it just gives us more fun options for combat that aren't seen anywhere else in the whole game, like the bear traps, mines, machete, galvanuckles.
Tune the radio.
Menendez has big energy.
No one move or this gets it.
Am I the only one that likes Sam Worthington? Something about his voice as Mason that I love so much. Also, I kind of liked him in Avatar.
Los americanos no saben nada sobre la lealtad.
Menendez isn't subtitled here, but his first words speak to his entire character. He first says that Mason believes himself in control when he is not, then speaks of showing him what the meaning of loyalty is, thus prompting his men to jump on the grenade for him. I like this line about loyalty, because the whole reason Mason is out there right now is his loyalty to Woods. Great villains are made by one of my favorite phrases. You got the right idea, but the wrong bitch. To him, loyalty is basically having your men die for you, for the cause. And Mason, it's saving all you can. Maybe Rose from TLJ was onto something? However clunky that may have been. And it's Menendez sacrificing his own men that scars his eye for life, a visible reminder of the man he truly is deep down.
Damn it, no way out.
Hudson facing his death with some courage. At least right now.
You thought I would leave you!
Speaking of loyalty, Savimbi to the rescue with the stolen Russian helo?
We got him, Mason.
Oh yeah, oh thanks Savimbi. Oh, what? Woods, you motherfucker.
Can't kill me.
What a great callback to the Russian roulette scene from Black Ops 1. And at this point, yeah, for real. Dude survived a grenade straight to the face.
CIA smoked his old man. Old Cyclops is pretty pissed at America.
First reference to the Odyssey. Now let's get weird. There is some depiction of Cyclops in Greek myth with their 2 main eyes shut with the third on their forehead opened. The forehead eye is often represented and seen as our mind's eye awakened. People who touted having their third eye open believe they have seen the world in a better way, that they know better. Menendez displays these qualities, believing his work righteous, that dismantling the opulence of the Western world is paramount. But don't forget the main 2 eyes are closed. Menendez can't see the world for all the true nuances it has, and only his visions of what should be. Cyclops are seen as simple-minded creatures, but it's not that they're simple-minded, it's that their mind is hyper-fixated on one thing. Or it's just a jab about him missing an eye from the spiteful Woods, who knows?
Politicians. They want you to think this is about ideology. Rare earth elements.
Yeah, normally it is all about money nowadays.
Who really is the leader of Cortes Dia? He's known only as Odysseus.
So Menendez has taken on the name Odysseus, and Cortes Dia seems to have really begun in 2014. His final plan and reveal of himself is in 2025, close enough to the 10 years lost that Odysseus was. That and the cues he takes from his story, such as the Trojan horse, receiving a scar early on in life, and him dressing up at the end to gain some advantage. In the Odyssey, it's a beggar, whom of which are looked down upon generally, and what Menendez believes the Western world to be.
See, the drone race had started.
How funny history can be sometimes. We find ourselves in Black Ops 2 in another arms race, another Cold War.
I mean, really, guys? You're gonna build an entire military based on a mineral element that's wholly controlled by China?
Woods spitting facts and bars.
I need a drink. Dipshit.
I didn't even care to learn his name. Harper from now on will be referred to as Dipshit.
No, God. Give me a soda. Get it from the nurse's stash. None of that diet crap.
I love Woods. 95 years old, still smoking cigarettes and sugary sodas. If I was alive at that age, I wouldn't care either. Wow, was old YouTube a different place? I mean, hell, you could still see the dislikes. Man, if those comments under the video shit you'd see nowadays. Attention to, yeah.
They take out Cortes Dia's network.
Crazy. This is some Simpsons level shit right here. 2021 was among the first time a high-profile figure got banned from Twitter, and in 2021, Black Ops 2 time, Cortes Dia got banned.
They've got a hell of a disappointment coming. That's all I can say.
Wow, I'm glad to get into the future tech of this game. Every little thing they added was so creative, but never too outlandish that it was like, come on, that's ridiculous. David's codename is Section. Pretty sure this is in reference to his father, who is widely known to have mental health issues after the Numbers incident and his own PTSD from Menendez. Section 8 is a category of discharge in the military for being mentally unfit for service.
No seas idiota. Do not underestimate Raul Menendez.
At first, this is just like, yeah, be smart. After playing the game, this is more of admiration for the man.
Right, you little bastard. You work for Uncle Sam now. My name is Eric Briner. I'm a magnetometrist.
Yeah? And what is, Menendez's interest in you, buddy?
Swear dipshit was gonna ask what a magnetometrist is, but played it cool and switched up the question. Which brings me to Michael Rooker, who absolutely kills his performance as dipshit. I never thought I could hear his voice and not think of Merle, but he killed it. I'd be lying if there weren't a couple moments where I was getting Halo vibes from the equipment and weapons we could use. And that's a compliment.
I heard talk of something called Karma. It may be the name for the cyber weapon.
It's not, but instead the name of a woman who can create or dismantle the weapon. Name's fitting, as Karma is the deciding factor for if Cortes DA succeeds or not. She is the deciding fate of the actions of both Menendez and the rest of the world.
There will be nothing anyone can do to stop it. I couldn't stop it.
Even just the one-off characters have some breathtaking voice work going on. That final line is just dripping with remorse. Mission titles are fun. Old Wounds is in reference to Mason's programming Reznov and Kravchenko.
Salazar, you grew up in Nicaragua during his rise to power.
More hints to Sal being compromised. Love that Treyarch keeps the fast-cutting nature of exposition in their cutscenes, just like the previous two games.
See that handsome bastard? That's me. The only one's your father.
Woods keeping it up with the dad jokes.
They come at you with brute force, which means strength in numbers and heavy armor.
Has Woods been talking to Reznov?
You have faith in your plans, America.
I got more than faiths out.
Let's rock it.
Swear James C. Burns' performance as Woods is a big reason why they put Avenged Sevenfold music video in this. Woods is like a Cold War rock star.
Are you trying to blow yourself up?
Ha! Woods acknowledges we tried to pull the trigger early. Moving forward with the less linear approach to Black Ops 2, this is another moment that blew my mind when I first played it. Being a starry-eyed 12-year-old running all around this landscape was just so cool. Playing these COD games for the channel has been like a walk down memory lane. These games were my childhood. Armageddon is here. Any fans of Red Alert 2 here? The real horse charge. Step aside, Red Dead 2. Who the hell expected Kravchenko to be here? I guess Woods told us he survived too. Gotta wrap up that loose end. And the numbers popping up is great. Brainwashing is a scary thing. MK Ultra. Once again, the programming comes in, and what makes this so much better is that you cannot do anything, and Mason will shoot him. If we shoot him, we don't get any intel about a potential mole in the CIA. This is just one of the many details that pile up to affect the ending. And to that effect, that's one of the better parts of the branching story here. Not every choice is some grand pick two options during a slowed moment while you decide. A lot of them are made during gameplay, whether you realize it or not. It's a much more immersive way of doing a choice-based game when we are in full control. Little Reznov cameo. The strike missions were a welcome addition for me. Y'all know I love RTS games, and this was just enough to scratch that itch. Also, these missions have an impact on the main story as well. If you don't do them, nothing but bad shit comes your way. Penalties for holding section.
He's being offered up on a silver platter by the old pineapple face himself, Manuel Noriega.
Just like with Fidel Castro, this man was still alive when the game came out, and boy, did he whine and moan about being called out as dictator, which is funny. Back in the day, Treyarch and Activision had balls that did not give a fuck. A little bit of perspective shift never hurt no one. Living a day in the life of their shoes and all that.
Lo sacaron sin que lo vieran.
Oh no! Noriega betrayed us? No way. Playing as the imped up Menendez kind of ups how intimidating he is. Like he's cunning, built all this, and crazy. Fast and strong, and somehow gets infinite ammo when he's angry? I wouldn't want to mess with that. And if Josefina being under threat wasn't enough already, she is surrounded by flames just like when they were kids, only this time he can't save her.
Menendez's sister Josefina died in the blast? Who threw the grenade?
It might just be me, but Section sounds like a little kid hearing a war story just before bed, all wide-eyed and interested. I'll always have a soft spot for moments like these, where we see the other perspective in a mission, seeing how it all led to this. And like, Woods straight up did not care about Hudson here. That shouldn't be a win, but it's a great way to showcase just how horrible Angolia was for Woods.
Okay, look, you know Woods raised me after my father died, right? But Woods always told me it was just some nut who did it, some drifter.
I'm sure after killing his best friend, Woods would see himself like that. So he didn't technically lie. So I like to see Section as the baby of Hudson, Woods, and Mason. We've got the killer glasses, Woods' tenacity for Menendez, and his father's, well, he's his son, but also his father's hair. Futuristic stealth mission. Tension's higher than ever before because big robot Hilo Gober. Ah, the confidence that dipshit exudes right here. And lays him down like he's sleeping on the job.
At one point in time, CIA had interrogation rooms like this all over the world.
Just some connective tissue to remind us of the first game and what Alex went through. This has now happened twice. Funny trope, though.
Avoid the flame! Watch out! No!
Not all decisions made are some life-altering world-ending one. Sometimes it's character moments like this. And things like this make the world feel more immersive.
That's where Ziggy comes in.
He says as Ziggy, the good boy, comes into frame.
You're smart. I have faith in you.
A good leader, through and through.
It's an automated system. It's triggered by your biometric ID.
Each of these signs are quite apt for each of our characters. Sadly, Sal got the distasteful use of the word discriminating. Dipshit with a lady, though his face is ruined. And Section with a blonde woman at Club Solar, i.e. Karma.
No wonder Menendez rallies so much support.
More hints. The opulence of Colossus puts a very sour taste in Sal's mouth. Ziggy is another thing Treyarch is using to spice up the gameplay in the campaign. It's nothing mind-blowing, but it is something else than running around shooting, so it's welcome in my book.
Karma isn't a weapon. It's a woman.
Depending on who you ask, some people would say they're the same thing. Sorry, I had to make the joke, don't at me. Man, does that music take me back? I remember falling asleep and waking up to the multiplayer menu music. God, Black Ops 2 was just a good multiplayer.
Harper, where are you?
We're on the dance floor.
Guess dipshit got that lady in Colossus that he was hoping for. I gotta throw in a win for fighting in this club to some good old dubstep. Oh shit. We know things about to get real for playing as Woods. Of course the old goof would smile and nod and stuff like, yeah, that's me. I'm hot. There's an interesting thing happening with mirrors in this mission. What we were playing is Woods reflecting on what his actions have wrought, having to face himself, hence the mirrors.
Manuel Noriega, hereforth known as Objective False Prophet.
It's like screaming them in the face that Noriega is not the target. At least it is for the player.
Thanks for the beer, McKnight.
Mason. So sweet. Also, who else doesn't get loaded before an op?
Damn it!
Ah shit. McKnight hit that kid with an empty beer can. No wonder he's the sniper covering our asses.
You know what they say? You're gonna f up, get it out of the way early!
Actually, never heard that one before and absolutely love it. Ready for me to read into it too much. Pretty neat that once they get inside, Woods smashes a Panama soldier into the TV, destroying it. Destroying a big tool in the propaganda machine with the man that was fed it, while they're on their way to spear Noriega's legacy.
Precious cargo, my ass.
Nexus target? Who's more important than this asshole?
Menendez is Nexus target. A Nexus being the most important piece that connects everything together. Or Mason, who has the same draw as Menendez. I love fun naming. Why I love Tolkien and Gurm.
He even has people in the CIA.
Kravchenko. Remember what he said in Afghanistan?
A line you wouldn't have if you let Mason shoot Kravchenko.
Hudson gets on the radio. Says that Noriega is not the mission. It's a handoff. It's a prisoner swap. And right then I should have known. Right then and there. I should have known right then and there.
So Woods blames Hudson for what went down. And the mole in the CIA thing was just a thing Kravchenko said to throw off Woods and co. But in the end, Hudson was manipulated by Menendez to feed them false info. Goes to show how far people will go for, 1, to save their kids, and 2, shift blame to someone else to not feel wholly responsible.
You'll be directed to the Nexus prisoner exchange site.
And right after these comms, we see the word corruption. Obviously for Noriega, but also to sow more doubt that Hudson actually was a true traitor.
What are you doing?
You asked for a weapon. You didn't say anything about ammo.
Go to hell! Oh!
Hell, we've already been.
I mean, yeah, they fought in Nam. Also, what a badass line. Makes me sad they didn't bring back the actors for Woods and Mason in Cold War.
You have to trust me, Mason. You have to.
I don't blame Hudson entirely, as he was just trying to protect Mason and his own kids. Kind of goofy that just by shooting him in the legs, Menendez doesn't confirm the kill, but I'm glad we can save Mason if we put the pieces together. And yo, Mason could take a 50 cal to the legs, and Woods couldn't take a shotgun. Guess we know who's really made of sterner stuff.
What are you looking so smug about?
God, this theme is my absolute favorite for the game, and the lead up to the scene and the reveal. Having all the doubt placed in our head, the shifty nature of Hudson, Noriega being way too buddy-buddy, then his smile and music to reveal that we just shot our best friend. I remember when I was younger and shot Mason in the head, how much my jaw was on the floor and blown away. Easily one of the best moments in a COD campaign. And Treyarch gives those that hadn't put it together yet just enough time to put the pieces together right alongside Woods. Nothing better than having a revelation as a player alongside our protagonist. The dude just loves playing with people. Gives that chance of hope just to stomp it out. I love the camera shake trying to track David's head, but it can't. Just how Section can't wrap his head around this revelation of his father's death.
Woods, I can't. I have 2 kids. They...
Okay, me! Do it! Do it!
Say what you will about Hudson, but in the end, he took responsibility for thinking he could have it all and sacrificing Mason for himself. But also, it was about saving David. Menendez always uses his sister's pendant to enact revenge. In a way, it's him and her getting back. Woods is missing a kneecap and still tries to go after Menendez. That's a soldier right there.
You suffer with me.
The big main theme of this game. Woods suffering in Angola. Woods and David with the loss of Mason. Menendez with his sister. The world at the hands of good old Raul. But let us not forget the most important one. Dipshit losing that moneymaker to the fire.
You will see this pendant again. And you will remember everything you saw and felt tonight.
Raul should have dropped the whole Messiah angle and started up a career in hypnotism. Maybe he could have made himself forget about his sister's death.
Junio 19. Freedom Day. The abolition of slavery.
Well, you took that win from me, Sal. Menendez is doing some exposure therapy, getting close to the thing that changed his life forever, possibly fueling and reminding him of all of his lost.
We're almost ready. We are ready.
Little nod to Menendez being one step ahead. Raul, like his face, wears his true self in his clothing, white on top for his dream of the future, but with the darkness underneath for all the horror he will wrought. Wolf in sheep's clothing.
I'm seeing movement in the streets below.
Of course, Menendez.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Menendez will only say this if you actually do kill a few soldiers, and won't otherwise. The A94 is our future version of the AK, and all the Cortes Dia uses one. Neat little parallel to the most ubiquitous AR possibly ever.
Come on! Is that all you got?
This whole section is such a roller coaster, feeling like Raul made us, then forcing us to choose between him or dipshit, knowing we can't kill Menendez yet. Putting us in a situation of, do I save Fareed or dipshit? Staying loyal to dipshit is the moral thing to do, because we don't know Fareed all that well, but if you don't save him, it dooms the world to Cortes Dia. So,
Yeah, that's it. Kill me, Egg!
And man, for his loyalty to the cause to not get Fareed made, I'll call him his name. Harper is the best right-hand man anyone could ask for. Menendez's weapon of choice near the end is this pistol, often called a judge in real life, but executioner in game. He stacked his own jury, so in a way, Raul plays all 3 parts of judge, jury, and executioner.
Thank you, David. Help me seek a newer world.
As if we don't need more evidence that he wanted to be captured.
The last order to DEFCON 3 was given by Secretary Rumsfeld almost 25 years ago.
Man, does that hit close to home. Very weird timing with the release of this video that I did not intend, but life works in strange ways. That order was when the 9/11 attacks were carried out, and that line is important because the drone attacks parallel the ones in 2001, and even more so because they are carried out on Freedom Day, which, in a way, in Menendez's mind at least, juxtaposes the Patriot Act, and you can see why Menendez wanted to echo these things with his liberation.
President Bosworth sends her regards.
How funny would it have been if Petraeus just stabbed him in the gut? If you know, you know.
For those souls who have toiled and wrought and thought with me, some work of noble note may yet be done.
Menendez is quoting a poem by Alfred Lord Tennyson called Ulysses, a poem that is directly inspired by Homer's Odyssey. Ulysses, after all, is Odysseus in Latin. The poem is about throwing up the shackles of the life that has been built up around you to seek and find meaning through constant adversity, however Pyrrhic. And the tone is uplifting and full of light, where Menendez perverts the meaning of the poem to prop up his own ideals. These lines are plucked out of the poem, where the titular character Ulysses has gathered his people around him to finally set sail on a new adventure, knowing that the work will never be done. And to him, this pursuit for freedom is all that matters, even if he knows there's victory isn't guaranteed, but to fight for what you want and believe in. There we go. Boiled it down, and when you do, it does sound noble. But like all good villains, right idea, wrong bitch.
Opulence is sinful and we all pay for it.
Such a self-indulgent piece of shit. Stop talking in riddles.
Self-awareness does not absolve us of anything. Thanks, Bo Burnham.
Einstein once said that the economic anarchy of capitalism is the real source of evil.
I mean, sure. Maybe. We've been using different systems of society ever since we've been living together in tribes. If one is to fail, then another will replace it. It's kind of a zero-sum statement. Weaponizing a quote of a man who once promoted socialism. Is that your plan, Menendez? What happens after your revolution? Didn't think that far ahead, did you? Or do you just want to appear smart and well-read to get some followers? I'm going to go with the latter, since it's just a facade, and it's nice to start seeing that come through with this mission.
The beat and do unequals unto a savage race.
Once again, quoting Ulysses, since he can only look to smarter men than he to prop himself up. And now we see the hypocritical side of Menendez, confounding the poem with what he wants to dismantle and himself. His distaste for Western society can be looked at as the idle king in the poem, then to turn around and call himself and his people Ulysses with the noble work that has yet to be done. Go read the poem. It's really good. It could be way off in my interpretation of Raoul quoting the poem, and it could be all aimed at Western society and none of his own people. I'd be curious how you all took in these quotes from Menendez.
The beat and do unequals unto a savage race.
But maybe what he means by that quote is that he's going to use the opulence of the U.S.'s drone might to dole out his punishment on them. Knowingly hypocritical, which is why he blows up the drones in the end and orders Cortes Dia to finish the job.
You've got 5 seconds to decide.
How did you even...
Because he's Odysseus, man. That's like his trademark thing. Same way he escaped the Cyclops using their own strength against them. Okay, that was a lot of silly script analysis. Let's remind ourselves how much fun the gunplay is in Black Ops 2. Just running around shooting fools. Loving playing on recruits so I can just tear fools up and have fun.
Winning the system. He's trying to regain control of their automatic defenses. Only Salazar.
Ah! There was a mole in the game, but it was just in the other timeline.
You what?
I'll surrender when it's done.
I understand why Salazar was an ensign man for Menendez, and I really love that he doesn't want to help in the fighting and killing. Just to get Menendez in the position he needs to be. He's a cocksucker, but still has a shred of morality. How'd they get past security? Don't know, don't care. Super neat way of using your weakness as a strength.
Tomorrow, we all win.
Not you.
This story overview was a nice addition to remind us of the impacts of our actions, and see what could have been changed. But you're rare earth metals, am I right?
Madam President.
Hey, yo, Lady President. That's cool. Cortes Dia is such a fun mission to play, and what feels like the apocalypse. Nothing to really chew on here, but experience the hell that a Menendez plan is bringing.
Fly one of these things, Section?
No.
Well, you're gonna fly one now, buddy.
Honesty and doing what needs to be done. The autoplay explains why he can do it, and this is a fun way to spice up a turret sequence.
Mason? You are one crazy bastard. You know that, right?
God, I love the only time Dipshit calls him Mason is when he did the same kind of crazy shit his father would have done for his country.
It's now clear that Menendez intended to be captured and brought to the Obama in order to execute his attack.
Trojan horse. Odysseus.
They said it! Raoul finally got the US to call him by the name they made fun of him for. I guess you could say the man earned it? Mission is called Judgment Day, and I guess I should talk about some of the religious stuff going on with Menendez. They call him Messiah, and 619 is some sort of rapture for those who are not Cortes Dia, which is neat, but not as much to bite on since Treyarch went ham sandwich on the Odyssey stuff.
Los Angeles was the flagship of their absurd materialism.
I mean, I'd say Las Vegas would be a better fit, but I guess you could argue that's more about gluttony than materialism, so you get a pass, Mindy.
The war machines are
He self-destructed the drones.
Your military.
Why?
Is crippled.
I've got to hand it to him a bit. Only held on to the drones as long as he needed to balance the playing field so Cortes DA can take what they want for themselves and not through the opulence that they were fighting to overthrow. You know I gotta win the sauce. And the catharsis of the scream by Rich McDonald is just the icing on the cake.
Murder me for Cortes DA.
So many head games with that one line that I had no idea what to do. With the game Mindy has played up to this point, I felt like I was in a damned if you do, damned if you don't type situation.
I will see you 1 year from now. Study Ulysses. Be ready.
For a moment, I thought he was talking about Ulysses S. Grant, you know, fought for emancipation and all that, but no, it's once again Odysseus, as it was almost perfect. If Cortes DA started in 2016, then it would have taken 1 more year to make 10, just like Odysseus. But I'm going to chalk that up to him thinking he knows all, but kind of muffed up the narrative he was trying to build. And he told him to study as he will never stop his pursuit, just like the name drop.
No. He's just a sad old man talking to himself. Let him talk.
I will shove this wheelchair right up your ass.
And, Mason's alive. Somehow. I'll take it.
Turns out you're a lousy shot.
My ass.
The Woods ego we all know and love. But also that my ass goes for in canon Woods knew it was Mason and placed his shots perfectly. I just appreciate this guy's name is CIA nerd. Treyarch didn't even care to name him. Man, could you imagine if they made this ending stop here? Would have blown my head off. But still like seeing the rest because it hurts. Yes, I know I got the worst ending. Sue me. I liked Harper and I didn't want to martyr Mindy, alright?
That's an entrance. Started thinking you were gonna make it.
Damn, Woods is such a badass. Even in a wheelchair, he speaks like he controls the room. Mindy learned Heart Day, or in other words, got his newfound purpose through her death, building up Cortes DA and getting his revenge on Woods. Ooh, I love David's name in crayon in the background of the pendant on Woods' dead body. All 4/5 of our main players all present and among the final shots. And it's a quick lesson on revenge that didn't need an entire second part of a game to tell. Revenge is not fulfilling and not even Mindy can get over it.
I've been practicing this all week. Hey, what's going on, man? Sarge. I get nervous when I go on stage.
This is ridiculous. I don't know why it's in here, but I freaking love it and I want more.
I'm ready to roll, baby.
Who else died at this?
What the Oh, that Nah, I'm just lazy.
Then there's Mender's reaction and Wood's honest to God truth. Wouldn't even be surprised if that was the real deal in main canon.
I've been practicing so hard. Miranda! Okay.
And then the cherry on top of Wood screaming his name. Context is everything, people. Man, oh man, was I not expecting to have so much to say about Black Ops 2. Like, I knew it was among one of my favorite campaigns in the entire series, but seriously forgot just how good it is. Most likely the best one of them all. Maybe Infinite Warfare, but I'll get to it. Black Ops 2 was our first game set far enough in the future to have the tech start getting wacky and zany, but kept one foot in reality and really drew me in. I was in love with the multiplayer all the way down to 10th Prestige, and zombies finally found their footing by Mob of the Dead. The choice-based campaign no one saw coming was the cherry on top of what was almost a perfect game. Freaking Victus crew. There are 8 different endings in this game, not all completely different from each other, but different in their permutations, which I think is just fine. Learning there was a good ending after getting the one I got, because I got the same ending as a kid as here, minus Mason living, made me so happy that I went through all of it just to see it. I really adore this campaign. I can't wait to struggle with Black Ops 3 and play Cold War for the first time. So subscribe to see those because they're coming. Who else loved Black Ops 2 as much as I did? Let me know down below. I hope y'all are completely ready to lose your minds. If you've ever played this game, you know that nothing makes sense in the first playthrough. Or the second. Or the third. Or actually nothing makes sense unless you really start digging to understand the narrative. Which is actually really freaking cool and ambitious when you figure it out. I think I've figured it out, but we'll see. Treyarch really, for the longest, was always pushing the boundaries with what a COD game could be, between Black Ops 1 with the mind control narrative, Black Ops 2 with the multiple endings, and then Black Ops 3 with the story barely concerned with factions and terrorists and more focused on death. What happens when we die, how to maybe avoid it, and make that journey as peaceful as possible, just makes all these campaigns infinitely more interesting than other ones. Before we even jump into the campaign, we get to choose our gender and customize our character. At first, this feels like an erasure of the main character having any identity, but it really enhances the story that they are trying to tell, as our character is literally named Player. And we die in the first mission, experience everything through Taylor. I love this because my interpretation of why they never named our PCs, because Corvus and the DNI is sort of a meta thing Black Ops 3 is doing with us, the actual player, using our consoles to interface with Taylor's memories. Or it's because it really doesn't matter who or what our character is, since this story is more focused on exploring this concept than anything else. To bolster my theory, every time we load in or out of a mission, we see the Coalescence interfacing logo, i.e. us, players, interfacing with the story. Black Ops 3 really went hardcore with specialist hero abilities, and we are given a host of these unique abilities to use in the campaign. A lot of people hated this, but I absolutely loved it. Am I biased because Black Ops 3 is my favorite COD game in every aspect? Yes. Is it still a win? Yes. We are given a hub space between missions, somewhat reminiscent of Mason in the chair of Black Ops 1. Everything we do here could be done through menus, but it's a nice little way of immersing us that really isn't too cumbersome. Once again, we are given the option to create our own loadout before each mission, which makes even more sense than in Black Ops 2, since each of the missions we are reliving in Taylor's consciousness, and we really can just take whatever we want.
Human bioaugmentation has become commonplace throughout the developed world.
Superstorms continue to hammer the region, hampering relief efforts.
There's a greater story here about bioaugmentation and what has become of the world with these developments, and Treyarch easily could have made a good story handling these themes, and it would have been much easier to follow. Treyarch really wanted to push the boundaries and make a story that isn't so clear-cut, and I really have to commend their bravery in doing something so bad. I'm really surprised that Activision went for it. Hell, they probably didn't understand it either and just took it at face value of destroy the corrupted traitors.
Protesters and local forces clashed again today.
Really giving me Cortes Dia vibes. I'll bring it up one more time because I really would have loved a direct sequel to Black Ops 2 like we all expected. They had all the pieces to set up a futuristic story that jump-started off what Menendez did. But it's okay. Find enjoyment in what we have, right? Kind of the thesis of this channel.
No mistake. This is a new Cold War.
Treyarch really cannot resist having some type of Cold War in their games. Like literally, the last 4 games they've made have had one. There's a big theme in these cutscenes with Ravens. Ravens are often a bad omen, and they are constantly used when discussing DNI and Corvus, mainly associated with loss, and in Native American cultures have to do with the shifting of consciousness. Like, this game knew what it was doing and what it wanted to be, even if the execution was lost on all of us.
We may not always see our enemies, but they are out there.
As this is said, we are shown a flock of ravens and a fire of orange light placed in the eye. Later with Taylor, we see his eyes take on this orange glow when we are fighting for control of his body and dealing with Corvus, that unseen enemy.
Just so we're clear, if this goes wrong, you never existed.
And it does go wrong for our player character. And during this line, we are shown snow indicating the frozen forest. At the beginning of each mission, we are given this giant wall of text that swings by too fast to read. Does it suck that there's so much information that basically explains the story? Kinda. But upon reflection, I really like it because interfacing with DNI happens almost instantaneously, so our player would understand and read these journal entries by Taylor just like that. I also like that they go so fast we don't believe there is anything actually worth reading on our first go, to not have anything spoiled for us with what's exactly going on. Sometimes piecing together and figuring out the story is more rewarding than just straight up experiencing it. Such as this first text telling us that we were pronounced dead before we ever even get to play. Had we known that, it would have made things start to click, and I don't think Treyarch wanted that with this story.
Get out!
I always love stuff like this, seeing something on the screen and then directly to you.
Did you know there were other prisoners?
The minister is the only priority.
Hendrik starts being a little soft when he sees Khalid. For a moment, we think it's just because, prisoners, really good guys, we need to help, but we'll come to find out these boys have history. There are a lot of moments like these that hint to the plot twist.
Son of a was never funny.
You sound like the voice of experience.
Trust me, I am.
Is this foreshadowing? Because, we think the game is in chronological order. Pre-shadowing? Post-shadowing?
Can you fight, Khalil? Always.
We'll grab a weapon from the locker room up ahead and reprogram it to match your biometrics.
Picking up other weapons really isn't a big deal with the amount of ammo boxes Black Ops 3 gives us, but it's also a bit of neat world building. Locking out guns so your enemy can't use them seems like a good idea in theory. Also, like, we can get an attack mod to allow for us to unlock them. Speaking of attack mods, they're a neat little campaign exclusive abilities to spice up the gameplay.
Your orders were to extract the minister.
His name is Lieutenant Khalil. Sound familiar?
Get moving. See you topside.
Just like that, Taylor changed his mission priority. Given their history, I understand. Also, they know each other, and this is the last mission in the timeline. Taylor's showing us the moves, enhanced by his cybernetics and DNI. You'll notice that Hendricks doesn't have any augmentations right here. He never gets a DNI or cybernetics. There's never a scene where we are shown him getting it, which leads to the question of why he's able to interface with consoles and stuff in later missions. I believe that the simulation Taylor interfaced mine with player didn't want to believe that Hendricks was acting erratic and upset of his own free will and blamed the DNI virus, which he never had DNI.
Rachel? That didn't work out.
Remember that line and notice the bandana on his arm. It's in the same place where Taylor is wounded at the end. Very important details to understanding the timeline and what is and isn't real in the memory missions.
Take care of him as good as you did me? That's not funny, man.
This is so cool because one, to us, it sets up Hendricks' ability to treat us the way he does throughout, and two, building the honest history these two men actually shared, that we actually do get to see.
Let's roll!
Stay close.
Now we're getting introduced to the main selling point of Black Ops 3, which is the cybernetic soldiers and all the fixins that come with that.
Jafari's mine.
You know I gotta win the sauce.
Comes easy now, doesn't it, Taylor?
Referencing his DNI and enhancements.
You didn't answer me, John.
And Taylor doesn't answer because after the implants, he's not entirely proud of doing it, and two, not exactly himself anymore. The presentation is really terrifying. Killing machines coming through the smoke Terminator style. Real good intro to one of our mainstay enemies.
They may not be a mission priority, but they're still people, damn it! Or have you changed so much that you've forgotten what that feels like?
There is the obvious theme of the enhancements making us more like robots than humans, which isn't explored too much, but I'm still happy to see a bit of it. Black Ops 3 really just went ham sandwich on this turret section. Literally everything explodes. This is some terrifyingly brutal shit. Feels even worse because of the cold nature of the battle bot. With it not being personal and just a program, it makes it scarier to watch it happen.
Hey, still with us?
A line that will be used constantly, referring to player actually dying and having complications with interfacing with Taylor.
Headed to the Zurich headquarters of the Coalescence Corporation. Our cargo. Prototype for the Winslow Accord Neural Network Initiative.
So this game throws out a lot of names. Winslow, CDP, 54 Immortals. There's complaints that none of this is explained and we don't understand the motives of any of these factions. Like I keep saying, we are purposely not supposed to, because that's not the focus of this game. I really believe this story is meant to be played once, then again after understanding what's really happening.
At 7:31 a.m.
This is the fun stuff that games set in the future allow you to do, on top of the straight up acid trip that is the final mission.
We're connected. All of this is a simulation inside our minds.
Little did we realize how much we really meant by that.
And they took it hard. Outcome? Train go boom.
My god, the best thing to come out of Black Ops 3, I swear. The great multiplayer and zombies? Nah, train go boom. I actually really liked the advanced movement once there was a recharge on the abilities. Really raised the skill ceiling for the game.
Attack mode will highlight inbound threats such as rockets and grenades.
The DNI offers not just story elements, but also enhances the gameplay. I have to turn mine to low UI elements, but they could be really useful if you choose to use them.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay.
This is poised as PTSD, which, yeah, but every time the screen starts getting pixelated, it's when players losing their grip on life.
Doctor can straighten it out. You just need to recalibrate your meds. Trust me, you're gonna be fine.
So this is where player actually dies. We can see Taylor fighting to not have our life support unplugged. It's still a bit up in the air if Kruger did it on purpose or not.
The botched assault, man, it took 6 hours for the ZSF to get that information. Outcome? Train go boom. The Zurich security force got their asses handed to them. Outcome? Train go boom. Some knowledge is worth earning. Appreciating.
Treyarch at understanding the story, probably.
Okay, New Blood. From this point on, the simulation deviates from actual events. Not that it's gonna feel any less real.
With our recent death, this is why we have stuff happening that never did when reliving Taylor's memories.
But the associated subconscious interference will leave him brain dead. Dead. Believe me, this is a bad way to go.
Oh, foreshadowing to her eventual death.
What you just learned through your DNI took the ZSF weeks to uncover. What do you think I'm gonna say next? Outcome. Train go boom.
There was no way to stop it and get off the train. Your DNI might show you all the options, but only you can decide what you're willing to sacrifice.
Kind of the whole idea surrounding Taylor's character. Sacrificing his entire team, then later becoming a terrorist himself, attacking Coalescence, his relationship with Kane, seemingly Hendricks, and in the end, Player.
Sometimes, you have to let go.
Taylor, how's our patient?
As good as can be expected.
We see the moment Kane left Taylor, framed as Player.
Welcome back. You're being prepped for surgery now. It's gonna be okay.
And this moment is a distorted memory of Taylor. Instead of Kane speaking to Taylor, it's him to Player, promoting the surgery where Kane did not want him to go through with it.
Hendricks wasn't even injured on the mission. He volunteered for this.
My god, it's actually really well done. This is so seemingly taking place after Ethiopia, but actually after they killed Taylor, i.e. Dylan Stone. Confusing? Yes. Fun as hell? 100%. And Hendricks getting the DNI is also a distortion of the simulation, since we literally see him with human boy arms and talking smack on Taylor's decision in the opening mission.
Explosion at the old Coalescence facility killed 300,000.
And now it's a ghost town. The mission description says Day Zero. Works for both the op of going into Singapore and Player's first missions out with the DNI. And if you read the pre-mission protocols, it will spell out, "We are Taylor," just like in Black Ops 1 with Reznov is dead. Player is seen sometimes with the mask on and others without. This is to add to the ambiguity of who really is underneath there. Warlords are one of the few boss-type enemies in Black Ops 3. Bosses aren't something we see often in COD games, and are a welcome change of pace. At this point in the story, Taylor doesn't have a DNI, and I really can't find an explanation for moments like these other than the simulation trying to make it all seem real to Player. What do you all think? Kane's got her bandana here, so we know it takes place pre-op, and she's really here.
Somewhere safe.
Turn that shit off.
Imagine yourself in a frozen forest.
These operatives were murdered by Stone and his team because of their work on DNI, and we hear this radio playing about the frozen forest. This could be what they actually heard, or it could be Corvus starting to get through.
Denial of reincarnation.
Funny considering Player in a sense is trying to reincarnate in Taylor's body, which is exactly what Stone's team was seeking to put an end to.
The 54 Immortals.
The name is derived from Chinese numerology, literally translating to never dying immortals. Once again, with another boss enemy. I'm really amazed we never got to pilot one of these mechs.
Just like we did when we wiped the Black Station data at the dock.
Better not mess up my brain, Kane.
I won't. But you may not like what you see.
We never saw him use his DNI to wipe the Black Site Station, so I believe Kane just used him as a conduit to remove the data as he didn't have a DNI. Hence, his fear of being scrambled. Black Ops 3 could have been played in co-op, just like Advanced Warfare. Probably would have enjoyed it a bit more going on this acid trip of a game with a friend.
Kane, tell him what you told me.
Every time we see Ravens from here on out, it will have directly to do with the simulation switching all the members of Dylan Stone's team with Taylor's team. Ravens and Norse, especially Odin's Ravens, have an affinity for spying and quickly flying over all of Midgard, gathering much information and seeing true, which is ironic considering the false life we're being shown.
Much of the structure was destroyed in the disaster. Our best option is to descend through the central...
We see Hendricks' eye transition from electronic to human. Trust nothing! The traditional Call of Duty stealth mission isn't shoved in your face in Black Ops 3. We were given the option of either stealth or going loud.
You know what they say about staring into the abyss?
That the abyss stares back at you, meaning and hinting at Taylor's eventual DNI and Hendricks killing Stone. These next moments give me big Guilty Spark vibes, from the mystery of what's going on, the blood trails, to the eventual ambushes. Man, these robots are really just the mechanical equivalent of our zombies. Does this arena give anyone else big Where Angels Fear to Tread vibes from Borderlands 2?
Frozen forest.
So each of these team members never actually got interfaced with. They were just eliminated by Hendricks and Taylor. Diaz, Hall, and Moretti die due to the infection of their DNI. Corvus and the Frozen Forest keep their consciousness uploaded and make it possible for us to interact with them in this simulation. Is it just me, or is this eagle meant to evoke the same imagery that the Nazis used? I mean, they both used human test subjects against their will, after all. We gotta crouch behind here and don't see the carnage, only just little ghibli bits flying, adding to the horror of this execution. Well, that's some great morbid camera work.
There's still a chance.
Hey! Do you hear me? She's dead! Accept it!
Of course, I was confused on why player cared so much about getting Kane out during this mission, so the reveal of this being Taylor's lady love made all this sweeter. I'm glad we wrapped up with this lady quickly because she was not the focus and it really didn't matter too much. Went out in a fun, gruesome way though, so that's cool.
Hey. You still with us?
And now that in the simulation our DNI has been unplugged, not unlike our life support, we will be constantly being checked on if we are still present. Very similar to how a doctor and nurse might try to constantly keep you awake to not go towards the light.
Essential supplies are low.
How are you still holding on?
You can thank Raul Menendez.
What? Raul Menendez was a hypocritical egomaniac.
Ah, so I was onto something in the Black Ops 2 video. And also, this is our only mention of Black Ops 2, and I got really giddy when I heard his name.
Maybe so, but I wouldn't thank Menendez. He was a prick who got what he deserved.
Mindy died in canon confirmed.
I do not know or care who you are.
I know I keep saying it, but this game is rough to win. The only interesting thing about it is the twist. Anyway, Salim saying this makes us question things because he should know who we are. We saved him in the opening mission.
And I demand to speak to a legal representative.
That would be me. Have a seat.
Player plays good cop and Hendricks plays bad cop.
These men right here. Do you know them?
Poor Hall. Man, this was an awesome way to get a dogs type kill streak in the future setting. It's not often, but at least sometimes we get the little vignette scenes that used to make COD Campaign so much more immersive. A moment that's more interesting if we view it as players, since the bot and the attack he used is very similar to the one they suffered in the opening missions. Just more red herrings to what's actually going on. Instead of Taylor saving us, it's Hendricks. These two buds, man.
I'm only finding out about this tracker right now. You and Kane into keeping secrets from me?
You need to back off, Hendricks.
Because they in love, buddy boy.
That's why you didn't tell him about the tracker he slipped Salim.
Ah, the water player gave him wasn't a good cop. It's how he got the tracker in him. Salim helped with the frozen forest and has a glowing orange stomach just like Corvus when we met them. The Hall boss fight is pretty fun. That is all.
Please don't.
So this is what we do now? Kill our own because they blew open a conspiracy in our own backyard.
Works for both. What really happened is Taylor opened the mech to confirm the kill, and after seeing Alice dead, then Hendricks said this. This decomposition is pretty realistic. When we decompose, we will bloat up and get those red eyes before withering away completely to a skeleton.
I remember, but it's almost like it was a dream. Like it was happening to someone else.
Woo! It was happening to Alice Conrad.
I studied it at the academy. I cited it in my final paper as one of the greatest examples of courage and bravery in military history.
So Corvus can't create memories, or anything for that matter. It can only use what it has learned from others who have a DNI. The Frozen Forest was chosen by it as its location from Hall's research. And since she cited it as the greatest example of courage and bravery in military history, no wonder Corvus would choose the location for its soldiers to pass on in peace, picking a place that displayed both courage and bravery. Two things many will need if to face death with peace. The first old boy we see in this World War II battle is Private Miller, baby! This is when Black Ops 3 started to get really interesting, and I wish they delved even more into this alternate reality for the whole game.
But by the time we got there, the staff were already dead. Carved to pieces by a 54 Immortals enforcer by the name of Jay Zhang. We knew they'd send a wet work team after us. We had no choice but to cut a deal with the Immortals and get the hell out of Singapore.
That wasn't what happened, Sarah.
Sarah's telling the truth because it wasn't actually her that did that. And this is kind of when things get even weirder, because Taylor's real team in real life died of the infection of Corvus, and in the timeline, they died at the same time as their Stone team counterparts. So I believe that each of Taylor's team was actually with Taylor and Hendricks in the real timeline during these moments. Hence why Hall mentions cutting a deal with the Immortals, because Player and Hendricks do that next mission, in the context of them murdering these CIA guys. And in Provocation, the robots that ambush and save us are actually Hall, Moretti, and Diaz. But there are 4 bots, and we are Taylor, so how does that work? I'm going to say the simulation made a 4th bot for Taylor since we are in control. You'll notice in that mission, a bot throws someone over the ledge like we do later in Lotus Towers. And the two teams were both doing similar things in the same locations, so the descriptions Hall gives of the goings on works for both Stone and Taylor's team in the real timeline.
You have to stay with me.
Just like Player's consciousness, hers is fading. We use the same lines to keep her from passing over.
Project was under the direct command of Sebastian Kruger, a senior exec.
When Kruger's name is brought up, we get a remix of the Zombies theme when a new round starts. When we hear his name, we've got a new target, and in a way, a new round has started. And we also got zombies on the way, so. And my best theory on why there are zombies here is this is what Corvus does to people with DNI after enough time.
you okay?
Kane.
Ooh, Kane doesn't have her bandana. And since Taylor never actually interfaced with Conrad, Kane wouldn't have come up to him here, and Taylor wouldn't have any information about the Frozen Forest. This is all player constructing Kane to talk about Corvus.
Tell me exactly what happened when you interfaced with Hall.
Hall's brain looks like neurons connecting, but also like tree limbs, i.e. Frozen Forest. That's how Taylor actually killed Conrad, not through interfacing.
She didn't know what was happening to her.
And as player says this, we watch a raven fly through this puddle. A mirror image, referencing the real world events, and player's simulated one. Man, after going to Hall's head, going to a normal mission like this is really underwhelming, but I'm sure that's why Treyarch put us in this VTOL to spice things up.
That is a hell of a swim.
She wasn't there when we got there, and this is preying on what we expect out of games, having our NPCs just show up during the cutscene. But notice again, no bandana.
To the sound of my voice. Imagine yourself in a frozen forest.
You're getting pixelated again, here in Corvus. This is player's consciousness inside Taylor's starting to fade away towards the frozen forest and death.
Stay with me. Breathe!
You could read this as Taylor trying to perform CPR in the middle of the hospital on player.
Whatever it wants. I'm still me.
So this to me is a construct of the conversation Kane and Taylor had before he got the surgery. And this Taylor is her actually talking to Taylor as she romantically grabs his hand.
We can find another way. A way outside the military, outside the CIA. There are places we can go, places we can be safe. Please, listen to me. Stay with me.
This is also referencing the conversation before going under, talking about leaving away together. The simulation is failing right now as players getting closer to the light. Notice Hendrix popping up out of nowhere. And also, does this mission remind anyone of the mission Cortana from Halo 3? The momentary slowdowns and Corvus talking to us like Gravemind in Halo? As Moretti dies, we see him fall into the frozen forest. That peace before death. And we see it as players since we are right there with him. That's just an awesome visual right there. Throughout this mission, we get a lot of pixels and ravens as this is the last mission we truly see as player through Taylor's consciousness.
Taylor's mind is overloading. I think it's causing bleed through into its other hosts.
We're bleeding between both timelines right now because Taylor does get infected after he interfaces with player, and that's what Kane is talking about right now, not the fake Taylor we are seeing in the sim. Until zombies really started to jump to the shark, this was kind of the biggest boss battle we've ever had in a COD game.
Out!
God, that is brutal.
Imagine yourself in a frozen forest.
Hang in there, I'm on my way.
At least he's wishing us a peaceful death.
If you go through with this, I can't be with you.
This is the only way.
It's going to change you.
Taylor was wounded fighting Stone, and after Kane picked him up, opted to get a DNI in cybernetics. And we see why in the first mission, Kane and him didn't work out.
Don't forget the person that you were.
Alluding to player and Taylor becoming one.
Maybe you can change things. You just need to wake up.
But we are already dead! All the mission info here is all scrambled. This mission takes place inside Taylor's head primarily, but also a bit in real time attacking Coalescence. Something I've yet to mention is how punchy the audio design is. I remember when I first played Black Ops 3 and heard those grenades explode, I could not get over it.
You still in there?
Checking for player or Taylor. At this point, things are pretty rough to discern.
What were they messing with here, Kane?
Ever heard of Nova 6?
Woo! Reference to Black Ops 1.
Warnings posted in error. All systems nominal. Purge sequence initiated. It lied to us. It can make you believe things that aren't even real.
Kane, please!
I.e., who knows what's real or not throughout this ending sequence.
Rachel! 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 Rachel!
Hey, you still with us?
I'm going to do my best to wrap my head around this ending. Even with all the research I've done, I'm still like, what's happening?
You've been fighting it. We all have. You just need to relax.
Corvus is just a physical embodiment of death.
I need an answer.
Me asking Treyarch about this game story.
It was always about control.
Of course the CIA is always about control.
If the only way to prevent future attacks
is to monitor the thoughts and desires of the population, then the choice is obvious. We need to know who our enemies are and what they are planning. That is how we save lives.
They could have done both the acid trip in Taylor's mind and done a commentary on the NSA Patriot Act. I mean, hell, Black Ops 2 was kind of putting the ball in the tee for Black Ops 3. Still, Treyarch kind of did, so I'll give it to him.
I can't do this anymore. You're going down a path that I can't follow.
This is Hendricks talking to Taylor about getting his DNI. Also, Hendricks is basically Padme.
I lost you a long time ago, Hendricks.
Referring to Hendricks leaving Taylor on Lotus Towers.
I've told you everything. An answer. To know the purpose for which I was created.
I think we can all relate to Corvus, but I swear, if we were ever given an answer, we'd probably be just as disappointed as Corvus is.
You just stay with me. We'll get through this.
Everything that happens from here is pretty much the final moments of player on the hospital bed before death. This mission feels like the training grounds for the Revelation Zombies map.
Who are you? I don't even know your name! Who are you?
This is Taylor struggling right now, and plays into our PC being named player. It only took till near the end of the game to have the quick cutting editing we know and love from Black Ops.
Let your mind relax. Let your thoughts drift.
And what you could interpret this entire game as is that Corvus was never real and it was just Taylor speaking to you the entire time, trying to comfort us as we pass on.
What's your name, soldier?
In a frozen forest.
I said, what's your name?
Taylor.
And that's the giant-ass plot twist, that we were in Taylor's head all along. Also, as our consciousness gets purged from Taylor's mind, that is when we die. And since we're dead, we cut to black and it's over. Jason Blundell is one of the directors on this game, and for anyone who knows his previous work, shouldn't be surprised at the absolute insanity this story was trying to tell. He made Mob of the Dead and Origins, and went on to direct for Treyarch Zombies ever since. Dude definitely has some kind of brain on him. And so, yeah, that's Black Ops 3. A really weird, tough game to go through, and I am 100% sure that I missed a lot of things because god, there is a lot going on here, while seemingly nothing going on. I really love the concept going on here. It's super sci-fi on one hand, but also really grounded about how humans deal with death on the other. This game feels pulled in many directions though. By augmentation and what that means for humanity, how much freedom and privacy will we strip from society to deal with threats, good soldiers follow orders, our relationship with death, how to conquer it or accept it. There's a lot going on and not nearly enough time to explore each idea, made even worse because it's a COD campaign where not many resources are poured into it. For what it was, I love the idea. Playing it is a complete other story, as honestly, I was just bored going through it. I believe Jason Blundell and his team, given the resources and the time, could have made an amazingly mind campaign. But, alas, it's a Call of Duty campaign.
Don't forget, War Thunder is available for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and mobile. Make sure to use my links in the pinned comment or description to get your massive bonus pack for a limited time with 7 days of premium 100k silver lions and more. Only for new and returning players, though, who have not played in the last 6 months, barring mobile. What are you waiting for? Get on the battlefield.
Remember, drive the speed limit, drink some water, and love one another. Pizza.